Hi everyone, welcome back to the Tone Base YouTube channel. We are at Consensus right on the floor. I am with Jimmy Song.
How long have I known you? What the hell, man?
It's been a long few nights, okay?
I know you're drinking and everything. It's been a
rough few nights.
All right, we've known each other for what, 2 years now? What the hell, man? I think we might need to make a bet or something. I don't know.
So I'm here with Jimmy Song. Yesterday, you stole the show. We did an interview at the Consensus Periscope booth with Joe Lubin to pick up on the debate you guys had on stage last year. The bet never took place, but I hear there's a new bet on the table. We're gonna jump right into it. Tell us about it.
All right, so last year he said to me after I said that Bitcoin's gonna be the only real major innovation, that everything else is just buzzwords and stuff like that. And he said, so in 5 years, I predicted the same thing. And he said, if we can find some criteria, I will bet you any amount of Bitcoin that you're wrong. So he said, and I posted this video on Twitter a week ago, just to remind people what happened. And basically, I was like, hey, this guy's not living up to his bet, right? Like I've contacted him on Twitter. I've contacted him over email. We did a podcast with Laura Shin. He didn't respond then, or he weaseled out of it at the very end and things like that. I made that very clear. And basically, CoinDesk approached me about, doing CoinDesk Live. I was like, sure. And it's like, and they saw my tweet, so they were like, hey, what do you think about getting Joe on there? I'm like, I doubt he'll agree to it, but if he does, sure. And of course, that's exactly what we did. So I told the whole story about like what's been happening. About 6 weeks ago, it was like a phone call between me, his guys, and like PwC. So it was like 10 people and me.
Why was PwC involved?
Well, they were going to be the referee, but they didn't want to be the referee. Well, they refused to be the referee after I said I want the money to come to me. They said it has to go to a charitable organization for us to be involved. So I was like, oh, okay, then I guess you're not going to be it. Joe brought them in thinking that they would be okay with it, but that was a big hang up. So I did that. We did that, and basically at the end of that call, he said, we had worked out some of the terms. He said, within 7 days, we're going to make, let's finalize this bet. PwC guy doesn't come back to me for 10 days. And that's when I find out, they want something to go to charity or whatever. And then like another 10 days later, they send me a document of all the stuff that we agreed to. I looked over it, made comments to various sections, like sort of like tightening up the language around, what constitutes a DApp and, like plasma and all this other stuff that we have to think about. Anyway, I've been waiting since. So when we finally got to that booth, what we did was, I went over everything that had happened, and I basically said, hey, this guy is avoiding making a bet. And basically, I think we managed to kind of shame him into it. But yeah, here are the terms of the bet. It's for about 5,600,000, something like that, at the time of the last consensus when we shook hands. So, and it's the equivalent amount in Bitcoin and Ethereum at that time. So it's about 810 Ethereum versus 70 Bitcoin, which worked out to about 600,000 at the time. Right now, it turns out that I have the advantage because, of the Bitcoin.
Ethereum fell a little more.
Fell a little more. So, that's the bet, and the criteria is 10,000 daily active users, 100,000 monthly active users, with it.
Users of what specifically?
Of a DApp on Ethereum.
A single one or cumulative?
Well, 5 different ones, 5 separate ones.
Cumulative across 5?
No. Per app.
Oh, okay.
Per app.
Per app for 5 apps.
Yeah, because that's a metric that you use for an Android or iOS app. So he's saying it's going to disrupt all of those. Well, let's.
How do you separate legitimate users from the apps faking their users?
Yeah, so I mean, he can't fake.
the amount of transactions on EOS
Uh-huh.
is like 8 times more than all the other blockchains combined.
And they can do that because there's no proof of work and like whatever.
And they're just
But-
like uploading encyclopedia on there every 3 seconds.
Yeah. And he can do that. But what he's gonna need to do in order to do all of that. So first, 10,000 daily active users, 100,000 monthly active users. And a user in this context is an address in Ethereum. And because it's an account-based system, most people just sort of reuse addresses over and over anyway. So so that means that it's 10,000 daily active users, and daily active user we decided is going to mean over 10,000 users on 16 days out of 31, or over 50% of the days in a given month, and it has to be 6 months out of any 12-month period between consensus last year and consensus 2023, or May 31st, 2023. So between then, there have to be 5 such apps. The reason I wanted those metrics and 100,000 monthly active users, which means 100,000 different addresses that participate with that particular D app. And the reason I went with that was because that would make it very expensive for him to do that, right? He would not only have to create 100,000 accounts, and if it's the same 100,000, well, he would have to pay for all those fees in order to like interact with
you have to make sure like the fake fees are greater than the amount of money he's going to lose.
Yeah. Well, so that's 100,000 per app, so that's 500,000 times, and it could be the same 100,000 addresses, but that would look suspicious. So I mean, if he's going to like Sybil me, then that would be like multiple hundreds of thousands of accounts that he would have to make himself. And that's not easy. You could write a script to do it, sure, but it's going to be pretty obvious to chain analyze and stuff like that.
And by when? When is the ending of the bet?
Yeah, so May 31st, 2023. So that's roughly, I mean, it's only 4 years from now. So
that's great. Like even if you lose that bet, I think Ethereum will be like maybe $1 per coin, right? So like my view is like the longer you extend the bet, the greater the chance that Ethereum is going to trend to zero.
The longer I extend the bet,
the higher the price of Bitcoin is.
The longer I extend the bet, the less chance I feel like I have of getting paid. So I want to make sure that there's a legitimate.
Well, wait a minute. Doesn't he have to put up the Bitcoin in escrow now?
No. We just agreed to like pay each other once that comes.
But if he's broke or in prison, how are you going to collect on the bet?
Unfortunately, that's not. I mean, this is what we talked about on Laura's show, but like he, I guess he didn't really.
I mean, I wouldn't make this bet with Roger because I think he'll be broke by 2023.
It's fine. Well, he's keeping back some of the Bitcoin. That'll sustain him for a long time. But yeah, so
I don't see any presence of fake Bitcoin here. By the way, there's no Bitcoin.com. There's no Bitcoin Cash.
No, he's preserving his capital, man. Like See, when you like bump your head, like he's been sponsoring conferences for like the last 2 years, trying to get that brand off the ground and get more merchants. He's like got nobody. So it's like, it's clearly money coming down the toilet. And even people like Roger recognize at some point it's a futile effort. So kind of what's happening. But yeah, I'm very excited that this bet has come to a conclusion. The only thing is that the arbitrator we agreed on, has indicated that he doesn't want to do this. So we have to now agree on a new arbitrator. I have actually I have actually proposed new people. I don't know if they'll agree to them. So we might be doing a little back and forth until we find an arbitrator. But as far as I'm concerned, the bet is live, and we'll publish some sort of website, Joe versus Jimmy or something like that. And then we, I don't know, maybe a link to DApp Radar or something. And that way we can see what's going on.
All right, very cool. And what else is going on? I saw that I did that video of you online. People are lining up like crazy to get a signed copy of your book.
Yeah, well, I mean, so that was like something I wanted to do at Consensus was promote my book. So they made that possible. They had.
Were you selling them or were you giving them out?
They were. So Consensus paid for them, so they were giving them out. So and my friend Ken Liu's books as well. So a lot of people got some pretty good books because I mean, Three Body Problem. His fantasy series. You know, like you know, my book obviously, and I was like cryptographically signing all of them, so that was taking a while, so that kind of made the line go a little longer. I apologize to everybody that I couldn't sign. Or also spoke yesterday with my friend on the panel, and one of the things that we were talking about is science fiction and like yeah, how that sort of shapes reality and stuff like that. One of the things that he said that was really sort of impactful in my thinking yesterday, and I always get this when I talk to Ken, was, you know, there's a story that we tell ourselves, and then there's the reality, right? What does that sound like? What does that sound like?
Well, the shift coins?
Yeah, I mean, every ICO, there's a white paper, right? And then there's the code. And there's a giant discrepancy between those two. And there's a story that people tell themselves about the coin versus the actual reality of the coin, which is oftentimes very much less than what the white paper said. So it's, in other words, it's trading on hype. Whereas when Satoshi created Bitcoin, right, it was on a cypherpunk mailing list,
yeah,
where everyone was gonna like check it. And when he released the Bitcoin client, it actually had more than what was in the white paper, right? It delivered, it had multi-sig and stuff like that, which isn't mentioned at all in the white paper. So,
and it delivered immediately. The white paper, yeah. August 31st, October 31st, sorry. Yeah. And like a month later,
yeah,
here's a functioning Bitcoin.
And then mainnet launch on January 3rd.
So 2 months.
Yeah, yeah. So
November,
I mean,
December. 2 months later, functioning product.
Yeah, and that's the way that it should be, right? Like a reality, and this is an argument I'm going to make in an article that I have coming up. But you know, when you're thinking about diversification of stocks or something like that, they all sort of have a minimum qualification, right? Because you have to be honest. You're kind of forced to be honest by the SEC. There are reporting requirements, and if they diverge in any way, then they put you on the pink sheet or something like that. Well, in crypto, you don't have that kind of threshold. So when you're diversifying, you're really kind of investing in a bunch of pink sheet stocks, right? Like, right. It's other than Bitcoin, right, which actually has that qualification, everything else really doesn't.
So we have a question.
All right.
Hey, Bitcoin motorist, that was a reasonable question. You didn't have to delete that.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Grin from a technological perspective?
I mean, I think the tech behind Mimblewimble is really interesting, right? Because you have essentially confidential transactions, privacy, and things like that. The thing that I don't like about Grin is their monetary policy. It's continuous over time, so essentially it doesn't have a fixed limit and stuff. I don't know, maybe there's a use for it somewhere eventually. I don't know, but I mean, I'll say this much: it's not an ERC20 token, which is scammy as hell. It's not Bitcoin either. It's somewhere in between in terms of scamminess. Yeah.
So they launched a proof of work coin?
Yeah, it's a proof of work coin. Yeah. Right. I know the price has like tanked big time since it started, but you know.
Well, yeah, because they're not gonna get any kind of like adoption.
Yeah.
And it's just a reincarnation of Monero with a different privacy metric.
Yeah, and we were sitting in the liquid thing yesterday. If you're going to give up,
destroy everything.
Well, so if you're going to give up decentralization, they're doing it right? Like they're centralized, but then you get all of these things for it, including complete privacy, ability to create assets, and everything else. And you have and it's done in such a way that nobody can tell what the asset you're trading is, how much you're trading, how much of that asset you're trading, or to whom you're trading. And that's powerful. That's like way better than all of these other sort of privacy platforms. And the thing is, they can't really censor you specifically. They have to censor the entire sidechain if they want to censor it. So in that sense, you can come in and out of something like Liquid and get the same privacy properties while staying native to Bitcoin. Like, why wouldn't you do that instead of like going to Grin and having exchange risks on both sides and things like that? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. So we have more of a comment. Hey guys, if you want us to like acknowledge your comments or questions, they have to be tipped questions. Just too busy right now. And This way, if I look at your comments, I'm not looking at Jimmy. People are like, Tone doesn't look at his people he's interviewing. Yeah, because I can't read comments and keep an eye on everything at the same time.
He was also standing in the wrong spot.
I don't have a production manager. I simply do not understand why people buy anything other than Bitcoin. The rest is worthless and centralized or owned by someone. In addition, they're not limited to 21 million. Correct. We agree with you. This is what this channel has been preaching for years. We completely agree with you.
I think they're saying that we're preaching to the choir, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. You do have to have sympathy for new people coming into the space, though, because from their mindset, they think all of these cryptos are kind of qualified, right? And this is something that we need to make absolutely clear. Most of these things are not qualified in any way, shape, or form. And really, like, maybe a couple people have looked at the white paper, maybe a couple of people have looked at the code. And they really fall into kind of two classes in my mind: the brand new things that have like no technical vetting, and then the carbon copies which don't add anything, right? And if it's a carbon copy, it's going to be the exact same,
right?
Like it doesn't
I
add
still,
risk or reward or anything.
I will tweet it out again. When Luke Dash Jr. explained why Litecoin is a scam in 2013, it was great, and that applies to everything since Litecoin. He basically said they forked the code and changed 3 useless features.
Yeah.
They changed how it's mined.
How quickly it's mined.
No, the script. They changed.
Right. How it's mined, how quickly it's mined.
They changed the mining algorithm
and how and the block times.
Right. They changed the block time and made it confirmations faster, but that doesn't mean it's more secure.
Yeah.
Changed the monetary policy, and then there was like a third thing.
Yeah, those are the 3, right? Like you said, script.
Right, they changed it to script.
The monetary policy is 84 million.
Right, they changed how often it's mined, and they changed how many coins there are.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, how many coins there are? There's more micro Bitcoin than Litecoin, so Litecoin's useless. Mining it more often, like the blocks
2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes doesn't make it more secure, and in fact makes it more problematic. In case you have a split, you now have more blocks to have to redo.
Yeah.
And
it's quadrupling of the block size.
And changing the mining algorithm is not innovation.
Yeah.
So that it was.
Yeah.
A really
there are really 2 classes of those things. So that's what my article is going to be about, and I'll probably release it Monday about crypto asset diversification.
All right. Zay here keeps tipping again. He's trying to get us to admit that Grin is a scam coin. It is very, very simple. It doesn't matter that it didn't have an ICO. It's irrelevant, okay? Unless Grin has the ability to replicate 2 years of a worthless token's development, blood, sweat, and tears, it can't compete with Bitcoin. You should read Saifedean's book.
Well, I mean, besides that, like, what feature are you looking for with Grin that you're not going to get out of something like Liquid, right? Like, if it's privacy or fungibility, you could do it in Liquid. If it's like a good monetary policy, you already have it in Bitcoin.
Right.
And their monetary policy is strictly worse because you have the same amount of Grin that get mined after a while, and it goes to infinity. So. I don't really see it unless you happen to come from a different economic persuasion or something like that, in which case you would make an argument completely differently.
I mean, just think about your statement, right? Like, Grin is the closest thing to Bitcoin. I guarantee you there is something that is closest to the internet, and it doesn't matter. Like you can say, well, my friend is the closest guy I know to Usain Bolt's speed. That still doesn't, it doesn't matter, right? Like, think of something that's the closest to the internet, and that's what Grin is. Like, it won't be able to reach the Bitcoin's decentralization and scale. All right, I want to get Dave over here. I've been sitting here patiently. Man, we met ages ago in Hong Kong. Jimmy, do you know Dave Chapman?
No. What do you want to do? Do you want?
It's up to you. You want to stick around? Do you have people to meet? It's your call.
I do have something in about 30 minutes, but I can stick around for a little bit.
All right. Man, Dave.
I think everyone wants to know about price, though. So
everyone does. Yeah. We'll do it on breaks. After I'm also gonna be like looking around, see if I spot someone interesting to drag over here. I know Peter McCormick was here a minute ago, but he's
the BTC safe space is over there.
BTC safe.
No, BTC safe space.
Oh,
They're,
safe space.
They're calling it the BTC safe space.
And what is that? Oh, the Bitcoiners.
Yeah, the Bitcoiners over there. Yeah.
All right, cool. Dave.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Tell us what's going on. I remember you from ANX, but it's now OSL.
You actually remember me from our Best Earns days.
Do we meet back there?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's come back from, 2005 to 2008 until it collapsed.
Yeah, no, wow, yeah, no, I was there since 07, so you were there before me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're out in Hong Kong.
Indeed.
And tell us the latest on the exchange world out in Hong
Sure.
Kong, and what are you guys up to? I know we met at the first conference I spoke at, the Inside Bitcoins 2014 in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So tell us the latest. Tell us what's going on. Sorry, Jimmy.
So, I mean, we entered this space in 2013. A lot has changed since then. We were operating a number of private companies. One was ANX, one was Octagon Strategy. And they focused on exchange, they focused on OTC. Last year, we took controlling stake of a main board listed company on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange called BC Group. And we've been the world's best kept secret. We've been using the last 12, 14 months to actually build new businesses within the listed company on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And so we have OSL, which is our digital asset prime brokerage, still facilitates very large buy and sell transactions for non-retail flow. So our demographics of customers are high net, ultra high net worth individuals like yourself, funds, family offices, asset managers, private banks. The interesting thing about this conference and the message that I want to get out is we've been using the narrative about institutional flow entering this space for probably the last 18 months. And I think people are bored of it. But the reality is it is happening, right? I mean, you look at what's happening with Fidelity and with what's happening at Julius Baer. You see what the engagements that we're having with tier one investment banks. I mean, so when people want to say, the whole institutional interest is coming, the flow is coming. I mean, when they say it is, it's definitely. How can you deny it's not? I mean, when you've got,
I'm a little bit of a denier.
all right, we're swapping.
I'm a little bit of a denier on that one. Okay, so but you guys are seeing some institutional investing coming in.
100%. I mean, the engagements we're having, whether it be on trading, integration, or otherwise, it always comes back down to custody. They need to know how to manage these assets securely. This space has a really bad reputation, right?
Oh yeah,
Managing,
well, they didn't help, right? We're gonna talk about what you think of Binance and how they bootstrap their exchange with a scam token that is totally useless to their exchange. You may not want to comment.
Yeah,
you're not a competing exchange, but that's been my view. They just came in and they're like, well, we're gonna print our own money and we're gonna come up with an excuse. You don't need an internal token to run your functionality inside your exchange, right?
So it was an idea that worked and created a lot of revenue. That's probably where I'll say that. I mean, at the end of the day, I think CZ's been very innovative. I've known CZ since 2013.
Yeah, I remember him back at OKCoin as their CTO.
Yeah, and then he did a stint in blockchain. So I mean, he's been in this game for a long time. He knows a lot of people.
Sorry. Hey, oh, you got Pierre for me. All right, cool. So sorry, go on.
But I mean, what happened earlier and last week with respect to the hack? I mean, whether or not you are in agreement the way it was handled. One thing you do have to give CZ credit for is transparency. I mean, he was out there. He was on. It was
a little too much transparency, as we saw with the reorg situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably. I'm not going to put words in CZ's mouth. Maybe it was a statement he might have regret now. I mean, I think also a lot of people were surprised to think that CZ yield that much authority to actually reorg the blockchain. I mean, it would fuck everyone else's business that's up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure it's a lessons learned. I'm sure a lot of people now actually do appreciate and acknowledge the fact that the Bitcoin blockchain cannot be reversed. So strength in numbers. Hey, a little bit of a discussion for you.
Okay. Oh yeah, you also called me a high net worth individual. That is totally false. Everyone knows I'm a broke bum and I can't even trade. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, look at the price action today. I mean, we still haven't surpassed the last year's all-time high during consensus 2018. Typically, at the end of consensus, the price tanks, right?
Oh yeah,
I
can't explain this. Okay, maybe you can do that. We're gonna get back to institutional investing side. I'm actually I'd like to correct me on that. But I cannot explain this pump.
Mm-hmm.
No one has been able to explain it to
Really?
me. Nope. And so I was a bull into a bull trap. Going from 3 to 5.1 is what I was looking for, with the high end being 6.4 thousand.
Okay.
Everything above 6.4 thousand is an unreasonable exponential rise right now that I'm not buying. I'm actually selling right now.
Wow. Okay. You're shorting Bitcoin.
Not shorting, I'm not dumb, but I'm selling a piece of my hodl position,
Right.
and I'd rather re-enter that position on a pullback.
Yeah, okay. You're a braver man than me. I mean, history repeats itself. This is what the TAs love. I mean, I personally think that there will be a dump tomorrow or Friday, but I'm not brave enough to exit. I've got a position in Bitcoin. I acquire. I never sell. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I held through most of the bear market. I was trying to short at strategic places, but right now I just don't trust this rally at all. And let's get back to real quick. We'll revisit institutional side.
Sure.
Are you seeing hedge funds? Are you seeing like high net worth people? Are you seeing what part of the world are you seeing the Saudi family money coming in? Like what regions are you seeing?
So we just did we're finishing our world tour this week. So I've been traveling to the likes of Europe. I went to interesting places that are worth mentioning. I went to Zurich, then I went to Liechtenstein. I went back to Zurich. I went back to Zurich. Went to London. Came here. I mean, I'm talking to private banks. They want to be able to offer this to their customers. I'm talking to a number of tier one investment banks. These are brands, Tony, where I would say you've used their ATMs. I mean, these aren't, banks in the Bahamas and little, 2-bit operations. These are tier one investment banks that are talking to us that we're responding to with RFIs. They want exchange infrastructure. They want their own custody. They want to know how this works. I mean, they've acknowledged the fact that this asset class isn't going away. Now they want to make money. And so, yes, the narrative around institutional interest entering, it's taken a long time, right? When a lot of people are bored. It's like the same narrative when blockchain is going to solve all the world's problems. Is blockchain going to revolutionize technology? Yeah. Is it going to happen overnight? No. I mean, blockchain is probably the most overhyped technology since big data and cloud computing. It will change the way that it will change commerce and entertainment as we know it. But it's going to take time, and that's where we're at with the institutional interest. But they have acknowledged it's here. I mean, look at the top sponsors here, man. We've got Deloitte, IBM. I mean, these are big corporate brands.
Fidelity.
Exactly. I mean,
Fidelity, there's a big misconception about Fidelity, guys. I was actually at the Fidelity brunch to find out what the hell they're doing. Yeah. It's not for retail investors.
Yeah.
They're doing custody for high net worth and institutional investors.
And that's
they're basically going to be cold storage.
Yeah. So this is a high risk asset class. It is. You can't say it's not. You look at the price. You look at what happens in the markets. You look at how immature the space is. You look at the lack of regulatory clarity in some jurisdictions. You can't say it's not a high risk asset class. But the fact is, you've got tier one investment banks that are now acknowledging it's here, and they're servicing the high risk asset class.
All right, so geographically, right, are you seeing Chinese money flow in, Russian, Saudi? Like, what do you see?
So from our perspective, we focus in Asia. We don't service mainland China, owing very well to what the regulatory stance is in mainland China. But we still see and still believe, and from the peers that I'm speaking to of my US counterparts here, all the action is still in Asia. So Japan, Korea, Australasia. I mean, you saw Indonesia just now has legally clarified or have clarified regulatorily on their stance, and that's positive for Indonesia.
What they say?
It's the same. Bitcoin's allowed. You can trade Bitcoin. I mean, you've got billions of retail users there. It's an enormous game changer.
All right, last question.
Sure.
Are you seeing the institute? I mean, I'm going to call that smart money. Are you seeing smart money going into Bitcoin and interested in Bitcoin, or crypto and the likes of Ripple and Ethereum and God knows what else?
So there's generally one of two popular stances that we see. It's either buy Bitcoin or take a position on top 10 weighted by market capitalization. So, for me, I'm very much a Bitcoin guy, all right? I mean, so
if you're advising them, you're going to recommend the Bitcoin route instead of diversifying.
So we don't provide financial advice, right? I mean, but what we say is we provide a very professional service, which, it's a main board listed company. We have 100% insurance on our hot and cold wallet infrastructure. We're audited by a Big Four accounting firm. I mean, if you need someone to trade in size, that's why people come to us. But the recommendation, I mean, it's definitely not advice, definitely not recommendation. If I say my own portfolio, I'm 80% Bitcoin. I'm 20% in everything else. But the surest bet, in my opinion, is just buy Bitcoin, baby.
All right.
Okay.
Great note to end on.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy. You again. Let me
Indeed.
get your mic.
Thank you.
Awesome. I
Have a great
get
time.
Pierre over here. Hey, buddy. How are you?
Good. Great. How are you, Tom?
There you go. Let's flip that on.
Flip it on.
And you're good to go.
All right.
Hey guys, we're continuing the series Man, when I do this in San Francisco at some of these events, I like to play this game with my audience. The person doesn't know, as like random ICO guys and people in the audience. Let's play a game, homeless or millionaire. In San Francisco, you can actually play that. In New York, it's a little bit trickier. So how you been, man? How you enjoying the conference? You were at Magical Crypto as well?
No, I was not.
No, you skipped out. Oh, you boycotted it with me.
I was teaching a Lightning workshop.
Damn, I'm still the only one. Oh, I had a fundamental problem of a Bitcoin maximalist conference organized by shitcoiners.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm on board with that. But no, I was teaching people about Lightning in the financial district at the New York Institute of Finance. We got 20 developers that came out, and we were learning the technical underpinnings of Lightning. Why is it trustless? Why are the payments instant? And why do I think it's the future of Bitcoin scaling? So we had an environment where people could be doing Python programming right away, and they had a Lightning node on testnet up before the course, and so it worked really well.
Dude, I really gotta attend those. Like my Lightning game is so bad, dude. I've just been so busy, like educating others how to use Lightning through like the conferences and the interviews. And I'm like, shit, I'm not even like home to set one up.
I'm gonna be
I have
doing
some on my phone.
yeah.
But, yeah,
I'm going to be doing
a webinar, man.
I was about to say, I'm going to be doing a Lightning 101 webinar where it's going to be about how to get set up on your phone and on your laptop or your desktop computer, or if you have like a Raspberry Pi or a Nautilus or a Casa, whatever it may be, getting set up, understanding what channel capacity is, like what inbound and outbound, all this means. And then have a 201 course where we go a little deeper into Lightning and like how to run a node on VPS, you know. And then finally, like a 301 of how to develop with Lightning and how to build web applications that accept Lightning payments. And those are going to be webinars available online.
Yeah, man, you've really been like at the top of this, like, you know, everyone should use Lightning. Here's the simplest way to do it. It's like you and Kasai, like a few people really took up that torch.
To me, all of the credit. To me, all of the credit belongs to Chain Code Labs, because I did their Lightning residency, and that's when I kind of became persuaded that this was going to be a phenomenal system. And once people started using it and getting used to using it, that it brings a lot of privacy to Bitcoin. And I think that we need more of that. We see all sorts of companies abusing people's privacy and deplatforming people and censoring people. So we need more censorship resistance. And Lightning provides a digital cash experience that is censorship resistant and decentralized.
So about a year ago, a little less than, like about 6 months ago, we were in Prague. I was there with Peter Todd. I was there with a few other guys. And they were like paying each other with like Lightning wallets that were still brand new. And I literally stood there. It was like raining. Outside. Peter Todd is trying to pay someone like $3 with Lightning, and the transaction keeps getting dropped. It's not going through.
Oh, yeah.
We stood there for like 10, 15 minutes. And like, God damn it. Because the success rate of your transaction, finding the end peer, had about a 40 to 30% success rate per send.
Yep.
Has that greatly risen in the last 6 months?
It sure has, both from organic growth, but also because of this service called LN Big. And so there's a whale out there that decided to dump a bunch of Bitcoin onto Lightning in the form of capacity. And so he's got like dozens of nodes that are running. And it's a massive source of liquidity on the network where, you know, you can end up regularly routing payments up to, I think, like $400, $600 on this trustless network.
Amazing. I think it's possible it's Roger Ver trying to prove that it doesn't work by spamming the network.
No, they are well-intentioned, even though sometimes, because it's one dude there's one guy behind this. And so he's sometimes stretched a little for time and makes a few mistakes, but the community is very hard on him, and that's how it should be, right? We're toxic.
All right, cool. So where do you see it? I think, was that, I forgot who it was, but during the panel, because you guys did all your Lightning talks yesterday, it's amazing. I had to go like look for some side room on the fourth floor to listen to Lightning. Then I had to find the Liquid guys in the basement to find those talks.
We don't get invited on the main stage, no. So it's very oriented towards blockchain technology here. Yeah.
All right, so there was a great question asked by Jonathan Mohan to all the panelists. What is the biggest misconception about the Lightning Network? And I'm trying to remember what your answer was, but my favorite answer was, people assume that it's only for micropayments.
That was my answer.
That was your answer.
Yes, awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I can expand on that if you want. There's this few that like micropayments, like sub, 1 penny payment where you're like paying per view or whatever. That this was the use case for Lightning because it allows you to update these microtransactions, But really what I think that Lightning allows you to do is arbitrage block space over time. And so you can be opening and closing channels when on-chain fees are low, and then sending value around on the Lightning network while chain fees are high. And so by doing that arbitrage, you're having a better user experience, and also you're not adding to the problem by trying to outcompete others for block space and causing transaction fees to go even higher. So I think that the more and more people do this arbitrage, the less volatility we'll have in on-chain transaction fees, because currently it's very common that we have spikes and that it's like, oh, I put in too low of a fee. I need to figure out how to RBF. Oh, maybe I don't have RBF on my wallet, etc. So I think that that's a misconception where you would want to put a lot of value on Lightning if you're trying to avoid on-chain transaction fees during fee spikes. If you're not actively sending value and so you don't care that much about it, then you don't need to put as much value in channels on Lightning. And in fact, maybe you don't need to be using Lightning at all. Maybe you're just a hodler and you're just going to sit on your hardware wallet or whatever it is.
All right, cool. So
Yeah.
I'll leave you with this one. What do you envision as the best use case or killer new, let's say, business for Lightning? So here's my example. I gave this example at the Understanding Bitcoin conference. We'll absolutely have you there next year. We'll find a way to get you to Malta. And my view was, man, it would be great. Like you land in some country and you just connect to other people's internets and you paying them in pennies. Just like everywhere I have my Wi-Fi open, there is some kind of a security, and then anyone that happens to walk past me that happens to connect to mine is paying me through the Lightning Network with Bitcoin for the use of my internet data. So something like that, what do you envision?
So I agree, and that's because of Lightning's permissionless nature. And so anyone can build anything, and what I think it's going to do is by bootstrapping a money and payments network, we're also creating the opportunity to bootstrap an identity network. And so we saw Microsoft came out with their identity sidechain type thing. So, I built the node launcher, and the node launcher allows you to get on Lightning very easily. You just double click the app, you open it up, it runs some nodes. And so that's the easiest onboarding experience for Lightning. I could add other nodes. So I could add the Microsoft identity node so that now people can be using this decentralized identity network, kind of like a web of trust style thing. And I think that that's going to unlock messaging, right, which is also important and has also faced censorship in all areas of the internet, whether it's our Bitcoin or on Twitter or whatever it is. So there's opportunities there that I see these networks bootstrapping, because it's very hard to get the network effects, like with Mastodon, we weren't able to get the network effects of it. And it's hard to compete with Twitter like that. But if you have the money element of it embedded in it, then you can ultimately drive more people to try out the system.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot. Any final thoughts, Pierre Rochard? Tell the people how to find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Pierre_Rochard, ROCHARD. And if you just Google Node Launcher, that'll get you set up on Lightning on your desktop or laptop, Windows, Mac OS, Linux.
Perfect. Oh, and if you're around tomorrow all day long, I am hosting a post-consensus detox at the Wall Street Russian bathhouse all day, noon to 11 p.m. Come by anytime and get a steam in.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Later, man.
What's the dress code?
Bathing suits.
Do you already have them on?
Nope. Come on in.
Do you want me to point sign guy? All right, I'll go for it. He's selling his artwork.
Awesome. Let's flip that on.
Thanks, Tone. Hello, hello.
All right. We are back with more interviews. We are with the Bitcoin sign guy. I don't even know your name, buddy.
Pleasure.
Do you even say your name, or do you love it?
It's been a slow drip docs, but I'll prefer to stay a non right now.
Excellent. This is one of your first big conferences?
This is my first consensus, actually. I've avoided it in the past I don't want to slip on any snake oil. However, this year I have some artwork that I'm selling.
some just to dance on the graves of central bankers. I'm and to stack some sats the only way I know how. You can go to buybitcoin.art. There's a strictly limited run of 21 buy Bitcoin signs. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so they're
I gotta check that out. I gotta check that out.
act fast. They're almost sold out. Some of the big names in Bitcoin have acquired them.
Oh boy. All
So-
right, I gotta check that out myself actually. Say it once more time.
Buybitcoin.art.
Buybitcoin.art. Go ahead and check that out. We got 1,200 viewers, man. You're about to get sold out.
Oh, man.
I may not even get one. That's live viewers. Okay, I have to get the big elephant question out of the way early.
Yeah.
How much trouble did you get into for that?
I was fired actually. So.
But you knew that was coming.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
was like, were there legal ramifications?
no. Thankfully not. They were cool about it.
You knew you were getting fired the moment you did that.
My employer made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
And that's impressive, getting fired from a government job.
Oh, I didn't work for the government at the time. I was working for a free market think tank in Washington, actually doing policy coverage of the event for a monetary scholar, actually.
How much did you think that through, right? Like when,
Yeah.
like, was this like an idea, like as you're sitting there, or as you're listening to it, you're like, I should do this?
Yeah.
Or was this premeditated?
It was not premeditated. The seat was actually completely random that I sat there, but it was spur of the moment on the basis that I used to work at a global macro fund in Connecticut, and I would do Fed testimony coverage there. So I knew that, there are these really long, boring presentations, and nothing exciting ever happens except like the random arcane word that they let slip from their tongue. So I knew that the camera was on, and I thought that I would go back to the live cast later, take a screenshot, put it in my pocket, and it would just be my little keepsake. But it
just went viral.
It completely exceeded all expectation.
All right, so what are you up to now?
Crypto anarchy, man.
All right.
We're staying on it with making a payment processor, very vanilla payment processor for high risk merchants that practice in the firearms industry. And so we have that going. And then second is making a reputation system for Bitcoin over-the-counter trading and all like peer-to-peer trading. So a reputation system. Think of like Yelp for how credible of a counterparty you are.
All right, I want to make sure my audience knows exactly who the Bitcoin sign guy is. Should I go with Bitcoin sign guy, or
Yeah,
just
sure.
go straight to your website?
Bitcoin sign guy, or yeah, it's on my website as well.
All right, so let's do that.
Buy
Type it
Bitcoin.
in.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna do a screen share.
Buybitcoin.art.
All right. There we are. Let's go over the screen share. Boom, and there it is. There it is, guys. Oh, it's great. And how long have you been in Bitcoin?
So I first really went down the rabbit hole in early 2016, but I was at actually a high school reunion the other day, and one of my friends said, "Oh yeah, dude, like you got me into Bitcoin in 2012. You told me all about it." And I was like, "I did?
Wow.
Crazy." So
you got others that like 4 years before you.
if you want to talk about Bitcoin regret, don't worry, I have some too.
So you got in 2016, and you're more of a Bitcoin maximalist, right?
Yeah, I've always sort of supported the maximalist thesis. I'm in it for it as Bitcoin as a monetary media, and then the downstream political effects.
So when you got in 2016, like who were you following? Who were the people that got you to realize that, hey, like this Ethereum, this Ripple is nonsense?
Yeah, I mean, one of them's right here. We got Jimmy Sung in the building. I follow, Jimmy and all the good folks on crypto Twitter. Just quickly got me up to speed on what I needed to be like looking at and reading.
I'm not sure he follows you, though.
All right.
I do.
Maybe not.
I do know. I watch your trading show. I mean, I try to absorb it all.
You trade?
I'm long only.
Good point.
Long only.
Right. Anything else you want to say? What are you doing next?
Next, no. All I can say is, you know, join me, help me dance on the graves of these central bankers. Buy Bitcoin.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Tone.
We're with the Bitcoin Sign guy, saying goodbye to Jimmy Song. He's got an interview to go to. Enjoy. We're at 1,200 live viewers. Man,
Can
I
we see the price right now? What's going on?
Oh, we should probably take a look at the price.
Thanks for pumping it, Tone.
All right, thanks,
All
man.
the
No,
time.
you're doing great.
Consensus.
We'll see you around.
Yep, I'll come by your booth.
Here, I'll stay for the price.
Are we
for at
still
least a
pumping,
little.
or is it the post-consensus dumping coming?
I don't know.
Oh, you heard about the Russian sauna on Wall Street. Are you a New Yorker?
Yeah, I'm in Connecticut. But,
Oh, okay.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow from noon to like they close at 11 p.m. I'll be there as long as people are coming and chilling, eating good food.
That'd be fun.
We're hanging out.
Let's do it.
Almost 8,000. Almost 8,000.
All right.
He went back to the sign.
Oh, back to the side.
I think so.
All right. Let's go take a look at the price, guys. Let's see what happened. I haven't even looked at the price since yesterday. Let's take a look. I really want to take like 2 weeks off because I don't know what the hell's going on at this point. And I want to come back in 2 weeks when the markets are acting a little more rational. But we are hovering around 8,000. Now that we've broken past 7,500, my next level of resistance is between this dotted line at 9,000 and this blue line, the Fibonacci line, at 94.42. So somewhere in here is the next good selling opportunity, but you want other things to line up. Ideally, I want this to happen in 3 weeks when it's happening on a weekly 9, but the last 2 weeks have been insanely huge. So we can still get a reasonable pullback and then still go into that area.
Well, if it goes past that, where does it go, Tone? Like,
if it goes past this, unless it goes there straight up, if it actually goes past this in a reasonable manner, like over the next few months, there's really almost no resistance after that, and we're probably going to new all-time highs.
wow.
We'll have pullbacks probably at like the $12,000-$13,000 area. But once we break this 38% Fibonacci line, there's really almost no stopping it. But like I just don't trust this rally, so I don't think it will happen. And the comparison I make is gold. If I go over to gold, hey buddy, ready for a little interview in a minute?
Hey,
We
Jameson.
making money? We got Jameson Lobb here.
Yeah, we're looking at it. We're looking at some of the stuff. Hey,
We're taking
Jameson.
We're taking a little break, taking at the price, but we're about to get back to interviewing people. So if you look, the reason why I find that 38% Fibonacci kind of important is because when gold bottomed at $1,000 after its like 50% crash, it went up, hit that 38% line 3 years ago, and now it's just consolidating down here.
Yeah, it looks like a converging
Right,
triangle.
and until it breaks it, I'm going to be skeptical. Until it breaks this line, lower lows are always more likely. So that's what's kind of a concern in Bitcoin. However, on a short-term perspective, the longer we consolidate in this $8,000 area and above, the more likely we are to break out. But on a daily scale, according to TD, we should be toppy sometime today or tomorrow. So you have some mixed signals here. Consolidation at 8,000 opens the path for 9.4, but we've already gone up a lot. So just be careful. I am a seller right here of a small part of my HODL position because I'm not going to risk a short unless the ducks completely line up.
That also looks like a doji candle.
It is, but it's not the kind of doji candle as ideal. We did have a sequential 13. You want the doji candle to mark the top. So you really wanted this doji candle where the number 8 is, not down here.
I see.
And the 9 is coming tomorrow on the daily. A quick look at shorter time frames. There's a 9 on a 12-hour. It's consolidating. The 4-hour pretty much topped right at a 9 on a 4-hour. We're still consolidating, but that's decent. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. I'm leaning slightly short-term bullish here still, but very, very slightly. That's a quick look at the price. I'd love to ask Jameson some questions. find
As
out
long
the
as it's
latest
not
on
price
Casa.
related.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Can it be firearms related?
Absolutely.
All right, we are on with Jameson Lopp. Jameson, how are you? Let's step over here. I
Keeping
went by the
busy.
camera. How you been? Man, so weird without the beard, man. You were at Magical Crypto as well. Now you're at Consensus. I heard you speak about Casa yesterday. Tell us the latest on Lightning. What's going on? How do you see it? What do you think it's going to do to, the world of Bitcoin and to people that think Bitcoin can't scale?
Well, there's a lot of developments going on. We're trying to be more grateful. We're making the various edge cases where you could have catastrophic losses be handled better. There's still a long ways to go there. But at Casa, we're focused on usability. We believe that in order for people to really have the full level of sovereignty that these protocols enable, we need to make it a lot easier. There's just asking people to be server administrators, essentially, with running these different nodes. It's a very high ask. So we need to get the technical requirements to be able to operate on these networks a lot lower, and we need to just make point-and-click interfaces so that people can do what they need to without having to understand all the complexities of what's going on under the hood. And so, like I said in my my presentation, we actually found that Tor solves a lot of those operational issues around networking stuff. And so that's the type of thing where we're going to continue experimenting and seeing how much of the day-to-day operational stuff we can automate and handle without our users having to do it.
Yeah, you also talked about like some of the issues that you guys were facing through the browsers, because elaborate on that. I can try to state what you said, but it will be terrible. It's something about your extension doesn't like one thing, but then if you eliminate that, it goes worse in the opposite direction. Explain it from because you know what you're talking about, and I'm just listening like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, it's both browser issues, trying to build Lightning compatible, like easy to use browser extensions. I think we're going to move more towards the mobile space, though. Like doing native mobile apps gives you a much more stable, reliable platform to build on top of. But it was really more the networking complexities of we found that users don't know how to do things like port forwarding. They don't understand how IP addresses and network address translation works. And so being able to tell them that if all you need to do is download Tor browser and double click on that Tor browser, and now you can talk to your node at home over the Tor network securely without having to deal with like setting up SSL certificates and all this other stuff. That is by far the most user-friendly way to do things securely and privately.
It really feels like Bitcoin is revitalizing the Tor network.
Oh, yeah. Because
it was pretty much dying. I used to use the Tor browser all the time, but then it's slow, it's annoying. I don't really download as much anymore because the centralized legal versions of watching and streaming and music and movies has become simple. Great interfaces, cheap, accessible, and like Tor kind of just was dying out. Do you feel the same way, that it's the Bitcoin movement that is like revitalizing that whole system?
Not only Tor, but I think that Bitcoin is making and incentivizing people to rethink how the internet itself works. We are getting greater Tor adoption because, if you're running services at home, you don't want to be giving away, broadcasting your home IP address that, hey, I'm doing all this crypto stuff. But even beyond that, people who are thinking about nation state level issues, censorship, resistance, evasion of capital controls, all that stuff is, well, even the internet itself is not quite as censorship resistant as we'd probably like. So what other methods can we use? So we've got people using satellites, we've got people using ham radio, bouncing signals through the ionosphere. It's really an exciting time, especially looking towards like mesh networking. Like I think that a truly decentralized internet would be more of a mesh network than the sort of more hub and spoke type of model that we have right now.
Awesome. All right, now we get to the elephant in the room, alleviate my concerns. I have this fear that if 20 to 30% of all the Bitcoin nodes are using the Casa box, it's a bit of a black box to me because I haven't had time to look into the details. So for a paranoid guy like me, save me from thinking that this could be some form of a Trojan horse where Casa decides, do we have big blocks or not? Now, at the moment, obviously, Bitcoin is a trustless network, but that's because I trust the developers building on it, right? It's this weird dynamic. Yep. I trust that the decentralized group of developers, that I know their histories, I know what they're about, I know their mentality, their anti-censorship views, and they all check each other. So if one of them, like Hearn, tries to do something, like it gets voted out of the system. But so I trust you guys working on it. But what my concern is, what happens when Microsoft offers a deal to buy Casa you guys can't refuse? Yeah. And now 20% of all the nodes are Casa owned by Microsoft. That scares me. Save us.
Well, it's a multifaceted process that there's still room for improvement on. We took the first step by open sourcing the repositories that are being used by the node. However, in my opinion, that's not perfect, because open sourcing something is a start, but the next step is making verification easier. So right now, it would be possible for a node owner to manually get on the command line and kind of verify that the files in the open source repo match what's on their actual machine, but we could make that a lot easier to do. We also have a lot of processes internally around our build and release system, where it requires multiple different employees at Casa to push out builds. So that helps us at least against external attackers. But of course, if Casa decided to do something, we would still go through that same process. So ultimately, I think it's creating even more tools to give the user more freedom in what software that they're running on there. Right now, it's fairly binary. It's either you're running the current software, or we give you an option to update to the new software. But I can definitely see a future where there's even more flexibility of point and click, run this, run that, what have you. It's all about transparency, but also verifiability.
All right, so what have you seen on, I guess, big merchant adoption side, right? Are you in talks with you don't have to say the names, but there's a rumor, I haven't had time to read any news, eBay is looking to start accepting Bitcoin payments, or other, I guess, major corporations. Do you think that is something Casa might be involved in? Do you think these organizations are gonna look through a payment processor? Or how do you even engage them to convince them, hey, you don't want to use Coinbase, you don't want to use BitPay? How do you convince the bigger institution to be more of Bitcoin supporters than just take the Bitcoin and sell it in the open market?
Yeah, I mean, at Casa, we're really focused on individuals. We've had some, at least Bitcoin enterprises, talk to us about different things, but in general, we felt like the enterprise angle isn't a great fit. So for the foreseeable future, we really care about the individual hodlers and helping them improve their own sovereignty. On the corporate side, I think that stuff like BTC Pay Server, that is what I would like to see get marketed and pushed more.
Is that something you can integrate into Casa?
There's no reason technically why you wouldn't be able to run BTC Pay Server on Casa. We already have the nodes there. We just need to run the BTC Pay Docker service.
All right, cool. What about something like Wasabi Wallet?
Also possible, I suppose. This is something we want to continue to expand the offerings of what software you can run on Casa. But the main thing is that anything we add, we want it to be a point and click type setup. So nothing too complicated.
All right, okay, another side. I'm making up these questions as we go. This is an unscripted interview here, guys. The legal side of things. Anything make you nervous? The latest money transmission laws? Anything that you guys should be nervous about? I'm assuming you guys are a U.S. company?
Right. Not that I'm aware of. And in fact, a few of the legal experts in the space have explicitly said, don't expect any comment on like Lightning Network related stuff. And I guess that's because they think that it's just not an issue that regulators are worried about.
Okay. Anything else you want to add? Oh, how was your hideout? You prepared for the apocalypse?
Oh yeah. So far so good.
What do you like to shoot? No, I meant like to hold, yes. But also what do you like to shoot?
I'm mainly
and then eat.
Mainly a metal and paper target guy. I'm a fan of 45 caliber anything, especially suppressed 45 caliber. But in terms of eating, I'm not full blown carnivore, but I'm a fan of a nice juicy steak.
All right, we gotta find them tonight. And like I'm telling everybody, tomorrow, if you've been drinking this whole week, like some of us have, tomorrow, if you're still in town, I am hosting an all-day detox at the Russian Wall Street Bath House on downtown Manhattan. It's a pin to my Twitter page. Bring a bathing suit, come by anytime, get a steam, get a sauna, best food downtown Wall Street.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Jameson.
Catch you later.
And see you around the conference. All right. Thank you. Always a pleasure. And we'll see you in Casa at our next Understanding Bitcoin, doing a full demo in Malta next year. All right, guys. If I spot someone walking by that would be an interesting interview, I'll grab them over. If not, we'll take a look at the markets, and I might actually end the stream here. We might come back a little bit later. I will be interviewed by Rand from Crypto Trader. We'll go see what's going on with the markets. I see people walking by, but whoa, something big must have just ended. A whole slew of people are coming. Maybe I'll find someone to interview. Let me see here. I had Jimmy help me bring over some cool people, but it looks like we will be wrapping this up. I want to look at Lyft. Another look at Lyft. How are you, man? Let's take a look at the markets and see what's going on there. All right, so here's Bitcoin. You can see the consolidation on the 1 hour chart. Look, guys, it's a rough environment right now. If Bitcoin can go back to 8,300, I'm expecting another breakout all the way to 9. Okay, that's how I would trade it right now. If Bitcoin comes back below this blue line, it would also be below that moving average, and then Bitcoin gets into a little bit of trouble. I am still waiting for my 30 to 40% correction before I put a part of my HODL position back into the market. I just could not pass up the opportunity to do it. Now, go back to the big debate video we had. Van Zandt talked about this being an epic bull trap. Van Zandt gave the scenario, and I'm going to try and bring Van Zandt back on. Van Zandt gave a scenario that this could be such a massive bull trap that it can even go to new all-time highs without creating a bull market. And that is becoming a very interesting scenario. In that scenario, though, you see how I have in my long-term outlook, I have the breakout to new all-time highs around 2023, 2022, 2023. Is my breakout of new all-time highs. Van Zandt's scenario that if this is a huge immediate rise into the halving for new all-time highs in the year 2019 or 2020, it sets up for the ultimate low of the current trend to come in 2022, 23. And that would be a complete and utter disaster. But that will be the ultimate capitulation. The price of Bitcoin rises to the vicinity of 20K or above 20K, and then pulls down into $1,000 in 2022, 2023. That will be catastrophic for miners. That will be the kind of market that no one is interested in Bitcoin, and I will be buying it all right there in 2022. So I don't think the situation is simple, and you really got to be careful. Let's look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is rebounding. Unfortunately, the S&P 500 did not give me a clean trade at the low. Remember, I've always been a bull of the S&P 500. And the sequential, because of this one day right here, because of May 3rd, because of the rise in price on May 3rd, if only May 3rd was half as high on this candle, then this would have been a red 3 and this would have been a 9, okay? So if this was a 9 right here, I would be a huge buyer of the S&P 500, well, at least mentally. Because of this setup, it doesn't give me a perfect trade at the low, but it is a good rebound on an 8 candle. Tomorrow is going to be a 9 candle. Tomorrow, the day is halfway done, and the weekly scale is not looking great. But if we rebound back to 3K, I mean, I would be surprised if we break 3K this year, but we might. I remain a bull. Now, Lyft is probably up on the overall market, but I am still bearish Lyft. I am still bearish Lyft. It's coming back to the moving average. We finally have a moving average in place. It's on a red 6. The count's gonna break again. I'm still waiting for a perfect buy on a reversal candle with a 9 in the $35 to $40 zone. I am not buying Lyft here. I am waiting for this pullback and then see if I get a rejection off of 55. And then as it breaks below 48, it's going to accelerate down towards 40. I am still looking to pick up Lyft in my retirement portfolio, but I'm waiting for the perfect buying opportunity. If I don't get that buying opportunity, I will never buy into Lyft, okay? It's a trade. It's not an investment that Lyft is going to take over the world of transportation. It's just a trade, guys. There is a difference between an investment and the trade. This is a trade, and I am waiting for my perfect trade. We'll glance at Uber. Uber is rising again. Would have been nice to pick up Uber at a low price. I have no TA on Uber right now. It's rising because the market is rising, but I don't think the market is out of the woods. I still think the market can consolidate Trump and China and all this other stuff. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed the interviews we've been having. Not really gonna look at other markets. I can go use a cup of coffee and looking for other people to interview here. If anyone walks by, if not, we are gonna call it a day. And oh, hey guys, that was the tweet. Hold on, we're not. There's a interview the Bitcoin sign guy earlier. I gotta take a look at this at his site. Maybe I should buy one. So that was great. Interviewed him right there. That's our Bitcoin sign guy. Over on tonebase.com. Go to calendar. These are my workshops and webinars. You guys know what that is. Tomorrow, it's about 100 people max capacity, but no one's gonna stay there all day except for me. The Tone-Base post consensus detox at the, oh, it's still redirecting to my site. It's supposed to, hold on, I gotta refresh the page. Let's try that again. Go to calendar. And then here it is. Tomorrow, come out to Wall Street Bathhouse, 88 Fulton Street, down by Wall Street. They got, where's the gallery? Facilities right there. Really cool spot. Bring a bathing suit. It's co-ed. It is, no one there is naked. And it's really, really cool. I will be there. I always try to hit the sauna once a week when the opportunity presents itself. I did this the day before the event, like last Thursday, and I will be doing it again this Thursday, and then I am off to Europe. So check it out. Come join us. There'll be a bunch of people you'll probably recognize. It'll be a lot of fun. All right. So check that out, guys. It's on my Twitter. If you go over to my Twitter, it's right there. The flyer, it costs like $50 to get in. And oh, Pointer Zero published something. That's always cool. And go ahead, come out and join us. And of course, if you wanna, there it is. There's the flyer. There's the address. There's no RSVP. Just come in and come hang out. If you want to support, check out the affiliate page, TradingView, TourGuard. Go ahead and check those out. The best way to support my work and this channel. All right, thank you guys, and I will see you all on the next one. From Consensus, maybe we'll do another stream. Other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Well, maybe not, but I'll see some of you at the bathhouse later.